because I personally don't think that it's okay to.
So it's just a personal belief. It's just your preference that. Bad.
I think that. So, are we going to switch to a morality debate, or do you want to stay on the topic?
It's all the same thing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
it all again. There's only three legs to worldviews.
This is
okay. It doesn't matter. Okay, then go into morality.
No, I don't want to go into morality.
We are.
No, this is a free will debate.
Exactly. Well, morality entails free will. What are you talking about?
No, you don't have to talk about.
Yes,
morality.
you do.
You do not need to talk about
yes,
ethics.
Yes, you do.
This is like you can talk about this from a purely neuroscience or you can talk about it from philosophy.
You're not. You can't come here and debate determinism and then refuse to even engage with morality and ethical discussions.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I feel like I haven't been able to. What causes people to act the way that they do?
It's a series of factors. They have their own human agency. Again,
Can
nurture
you explain
and
that? Any proof or evidence of that?
Will you let me freaking talk? I mean, I say one sentence and you're already cutting me off.
Let me finish if you can. Go ahead.
So again, there's multiple factors that contribute to the way that people exist in the world. Human agency, again, nature and nurture. All these things are included. It's not one or the other. And the idea that we have to just restrict our defense to just one particular one, that's ridiculous. That's not how the world works. It's both and.
Okay.
There's multiple factors that contribute, that shape to a human person, their parents, trauma, environment, genetics, all these things are included, but that doesn't deny that people have human agency and free will. And so if free will doesn't exist, you cannot make any moral claim because nobody is morally responsible, nobody is ethically responsible. And this would be true for the history of injustices, this would be true for the patriarchy.
So I just want to keep...
Can I finish a thought? That would be true for patriarchy, that would be true for SA, that would be true for reparations, that would be true for slavery. All these things entail that there is some type of moral arbiter that differentiates between good and bad.
Okay.
Your worldview does not allow that to even occur.
What is this human agency? Like, can you just define it for me? I'm clueless. What is that?
Yeah, for me as a Christian, it's being made in the image of God, Genesis 1:26.
All right, so every human has this human agency. It means you're made in the image of God.
Correct.
And God gives you this human agency, correct?
Being made in the image of God, yes.
All right, so if every person gets this human agency, they're given at birth, essentially, right? So what makes some people's human agency act differently than other people's?
We just said there's a whole contributing list of factors.
All right, so the other factors you labeled had to do with nature and nurture, the biology and the environment. You talked about
those
parents.
are included.
Right, so if these two things that we agreed already are fixed, right, our biology.
They're not fixed.
Yes, they are. You don't control the biology that you inherit.
Your environment changes.
Do you control the biology that you inherit?
Well, biology.
Yes or no?
Biology is fixed.
Okay,
your environment is not fixed because you can change environments.
So
that was a dumb argument.
Guys,
that was a dumb argument.
Let each other finish. Go ahead, finish.
That was a dumb argument because biology, but we're talking about nature and nurture, and so environments can actually change.
Okay, so your biology is fixed, right? So what would make someone want to change their environment? Just like give me an example.
They want new scenery.
Why would they want new scenery?
You tell me. You have to ask them.
No.
You have to ask them.
Okay, right. So if we were look at the reason why someone has a preference for new scenery, we can look at things like just like what they're like kind of exposed to at a young age. For example, like if they grew up around beaches, maybe they would like beaches. Or it could just be like the things that they've been shown like through TV, media, etc. All the stimuli. However, at this young age, where all these core beliefs are being like kind of taught to you and instilled in you, you don't control any of that, right? Your preferences are made at this like a younger age. We see this idea of core beliefs come up a lot in psychology, where like your deepest beliefs about society and yourself, who you are, this illusion of free will, and the self comes about a lot of times when you're younger, right? So even now when you have the agency now to change environment, which you don't really have that agency when you're like 2 years old, let's say you're like 20 and you can move, that preference that we're talking about to change scenery or to fly to Paris comes from determined, right, like circumstances. That's what we're saying. In any given event, we keep asking why you wanted this thing or why you did this thing. It is either coming from like some internal, like some nurture, right? Something like that has been like experienced, or from someone's biology. That's what we're saying. And once again, this human agency, you haven't explained in any regard how this thing, like if it's first of all, if it's given to you from God, how is it yours? Like, how did you choose your human agency? Number one. And number two, when we look at how it interacts with your biology, if biology affects your human agency, we know that that's fixed, that's already out of your control once again. So it comes down to the same
That doesn't
problem.
mean that, but that's a non sequitur. There's a logical non sequitur to say just because your biology is determined, that limits or curtails all human agency. That makes no sense.
What is human agency? It's your
The
design.
ability to have free will, the ability to make decisions, rational deliberation, moral responsibility,
Can you define
love, these types of things actually insinuate free will.
You're begging the question in defining free will. Free will
No,
is
I'm
free will.
not.
Agency is agency.
That's not begging the question.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Human agency and free will mean the same thing. Can you give a distinction?
Exactly. But my
So
point
you're saying
is,
human agency is human agency.
no, that's not what I'm saying.
And you're not explaining
I'm
any
saying
reason,
human
any reason
agency-
why we have that.
Okay, I'll make an easy argument here. You cannot have rational deliberation. You cannot have moral responsibility without human agency and free will.
definitely
and therefore,
can't have-
let me finish.
Yeah.
And therefore, you can actually not have a universal epistemology or make universal truth claims. You cannot make moral and ethical truth claims, which is the point, and that's why you're already shying away from getting in any type of moral ethical debate, because you have no leg to stand on in regards to deliberating and differentiating why, white people did this in history, why this is bad and this is unjust. You have no basis to actually
Right.
define those.
Okay, so once again, you still have not proven why it exists. You're saying if it doesn't exist, then this.
Exactly.
That's not an argument
no,
for
that's
it.
actually
No, it's not.
logical.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Anyone can like go ahead and like pull up their
You can't
logical
have
fallacies.
knowledge
No.
without it.
So,
You cannot have knowledge. You cannot sit here and make knowledge claims.
A reason would be some
It's-
type of evidence or proof that something exists.
It's to the
You have
exclusion of
said
the
that
opposite.
Nope.
Yes,
let me
it is.
continue. So to give a reason for something would be, oh yeah, human agency exists because we can look at this and this proves it. Or
Okay,
we can
neuroscience.
look at
The arguments that
And
demonstrate
can
when
I
people reach a
haven't finished.
threshold,
I
they're
didn't
able
get
to stop
finish.
that.
I didn't get to finish. Thank you. So. Okay. Anyway,
You make
so
no
when we look
sense.
at human agency, you have said that the outcome would be blank. We can talk about moral responsibility. I would love to do that, but human agency has
good.
still not been evidenced by you. You're saying that neuroscientists have found, right, that I don't actually know how your neuroscience. We can actually talk about your neuroscience claim. If
To
you
the
want.
exclusion of the opposite. These are using laws of logic, right? So if free will doesn't exist, you can't have knowledge claims. If you can't have knowledge claims, then if there is knowledge, therefore free will exists. That is
not true.
And again, I can just use easy syllogisms. Do you have a
That's
syllogism
not
for
true.
determinism?
I
Do you have a
one.
logical syllogism that actually you
Actually,
can?
I do. Actually, I do.
Okay,
I have
let's
one
hear it.
in relation to
Let's hear it.
God, but I do want to touch on this neuroscience point. How do you think that neuroscience entails or like free will?
Because there's been multiple experiments. This is, again, getting back to David Schurger's 2012 article, RP as Neural Noise, have demonstrated that when these neurological effects reach the cascade point, that a determinist would say, okay, now they have to do the action. We have multiple experiments to show that people can choose not to. And the fact that they can choose not to do it demonstrates they have some type of agency against the deterministic framework of the brain and neurological processes that you would argue.
Determinists are not saying that you are bound by like your inherited biology.
It depends on who you're talking about, and you're making a generalized claim. Okay, so don't say determinist then, because actually
I would
many
assume that when you
determinists
come
do.
into this debate and you give me like some type of like refutation, it's like tailored to me and like.
Well,
like
you
what I'm
have
saying, right? So
you've made
made
multiple
some
contradictory
general like blanket like statement and said it replies to like determinists.
Well,
I'm saying
that just
determinists don't
demonstrates
have
human
to.
agency. You
No.
asked me to demonstrate
Can I
human
finish
agency.
what I'm saying?
Multiple
Can I
neuroscience
finish?
arguments do
Can
that.
I finish?
You just
Stop
asked me
talking.
to demonstrate
No,
agency.
I'm responding to
Multiple
you. I'm
neuroscience
responding
arguments
to
have
you.
done
But
that.
This like Andrew Wilson debate tactic is so old. There's so
Andrew
many
Wilson
of you.
debate
Yes.
tactic?
But anyway,
What are you
I'm gonna
talking
continue.
about?
So back to what I was saying. So in regards to like determinism in of itself, not all determinists have to entail that like. I don't think any determinists entail that like you can't act differently than like in some way like your biology predicts. That's not true. And also,
Actually, there are
someone
some
would,
that do.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not mean. You're dating
I didn't
me.
say
So
that.
anyway,
Did I say some that do? Or did I say Xena?
If you're bringing in
See,
an
it's-
argument, it should be a refutation
so
against
retarded.
my point.
I'm saying
Anyway,
generally
so-
regards to the
and
argument.
what
You're
that
talking about
means is-
determinism.
so when we
You're
talk
talking about determinism. I
reasons-
said determinism generally speaking. All right?
Okay.
So keep
So-
up. You're like 3 steps behind.
Okay, so when we talk about when someone acts against any type of like biological stimuli, there's still a reason for that it is going to like bottom out in nurture. So that what you just brought up is not a refutation against determinism.
It is. The entire field of neuroscience, this is why
No, it's
they
not.
believe that there's human
No.
agency. This is why the philosophy of mind has adopted emergentism and believes that
No,
human
it's not.
agency is an irreducible fact.
Someone choosing against
so
some
you're
type
saying
of
that's not the
biological
case in the
proclivity-
philosophy of mind right now.
I'm saying that what you're saying does not
In the philosophy of
entail
mind, you're saying
free
that's
will.
not the case. The majority of philosophers in the philosophy of mind do not believe that human agency is an irreducible fact.
I think that if they mean it in the
No,
compatibilist
let's talk about the
sense,
field.
No, if we talk about a field,
Yeah.
if they mean it in the compatibilist sense, that might be true. I think that a lot of neuroscientists and a lot of philosophers are like compatibilists, but I don't believe that they believe
No,
in this,
they
like,
are not.
No, I know for a fact actually most philosophers don't believe in libertarian free will. That's been like it's been debunked.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yes, yes, it does.
No, it does. Okay, you're just making shit up right now because this is not even the case of
You
academic.
can look it up.
I actually write academic papers. I actually
That's
write
fine.
books and stuff. So I
That's
actually
really
deal in these
depressing to me.
circles and I deal with
That
philosophers.
makes me happy because it must not be that hard. Sorry.
Ad hominem already. Wow. So we're off to a great
almost
start.
called me the R word earlier.
The
so
R word? What?
Yeah, I heard.
Oh. The R word.
I don't know if that's
Oh
supposed to
my
be. We can get back
gosh.
to the
Oh
debate,
my
though.
gosh.
You guys wanna
Did
debate
your
the R
fifi?
word,
Yeah.
or-
Did your fifis get hurt?
I didn't say I was hurt.
Well, it sounds like it.
It sounds like you were hurt when I ad hominem you.
Well, my
No,
point
that's
is
what
that
you're
it's a
doing.
logical
But
fallacy
I
and
wanna- I do
demonstrate.
wanna